Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of the Dungeon Lore series. In this series, I hope to expand upon things you might not know about Final Fantasy XIV dungeons, as well as discuss their individual stories and lore. This episode's dungeon is the hard mode version of Amdapor Keep. In the final months of the War of the Magi, the Amdapori were ever more desperate in their attempts to stop the more and more powerful Voidsent being summoned by Mark, to the point where they began sealing the most notorious creatures within their own structures, including their capital city where Diabolos was once held. Although in the current age, the Warrior of Light managed to defeat Diabolos and the Voidsent held in the chamber of Amdapor Keep, known as Amdapor, it appears as though the threat within the keep has not been fully handled. The Warrior of Light speaks with Lorianne in Mordona, who is happy to learn that we were the person responsible for vanquishing the Voidsent, and sends us to speak with Adestan, a listener of the Shroud, as it appears that the fell presence around the keep permeates yet stronger in recent weeks. Heading to South Shroud, we meet Adestan, sent on the behalf of Arun Senna, and he explains that even though the cultists known as the Lambs of Dalamud were stopped in their tracks with their defeat, it appears as though their rituals have been completed by another, causing a Voidsent Lord to come forth and seize control of the keep. Adestan bids us dispel the second coming of foulness over the place, and sends us to speak with Maxine outside the entrance to the keep. We explain that Adestan sent us to re-enter the place, and she warns us that the presence is intense enough to turn the native beasts to feral and aggressive creatures. She wishes us receive the Elemental's blessing, and that they guide us through the keep to true peace from the Voidsent threat as we prepare to delve into the ancient place for a second time. We re-enter the keep via the same entrance as our previous encounter, but instead of making our way to the right, we instead head left across the lowered drawbridge, defeating the Ochu and heading into the corridor filled with the void-corrupted beasts. Avoiding the slamming tendrils of the tree roots, we cull the beasts and defeat a second Ochu, revealing a pathway out to the Garden of Sorrow, where a horse-riding Dullahan known as Anchag awaits. During the fight, the four foreboding statues around the outer corners of the arena appear to take the damage from Anchag's abilities, with his Valfoda cleaving an area in front of him and Hall of Sorrow casting magic upon a party member. When injured, the Dullahan will latch onto a party member and begin to channel a dangerous ability, constantly damaging them as they stay close. The tethered party member must flee behind one of the foreboding statues to have it absorb the blow, but must make sure that the previously mentioned abilities do not destroy these statues beforehand. Upon defeat, the void barrier breaks and we can continue onwards, climbing the roots of the nearby tree and entering the presence chamber, where we previously fought Amdapor. We are pelted steadily in this first area by the foxglove towards the rear of the room, leaving puddles of pollen in its wake. Heading down the stairs, a treant blocks the way yet again with protruding roots and vines, and after it falls, we can cross yet more roots building a bridge over the main antechamber, defeating more possessed plants along the way. We reach yet another treant, accompanied by a handful of slamming roots, after which we can proceed to the Moot Hall, where we find a Voidsent known as the Boogeyman. In this fight, the Boogeyman uses many tricks to gain an advantage over the party. It uses the usual magical abilities to cause damage against individual members, but when injured, will turn itself invisible. When this happens, the party must use the luminescence around the arena to imbue light upon themselves, which in turn bursts and causes the Boogeyman to reappear. The Boogeyman then has several Blood Moon sacrifices appear, while it itself casts Doppelganger, splitting into two and turning invisible once again. After revealing each Doppelganger one by one, the Boogeyman finally falls. After this, we find ourselves not in a new corridor, but in a room trapped on all sides by approaching demon walls. We interact with the fell orb, causing Voidsent and other creatures to descend upon the party. This is, in essence, a race against time to defeat the lingering Void Scent and avoid the Demon Wall's crash down ability. Once the large gargoyle and the wasp-like Void Scent are defeated, we can take the new Void Portal to the Scarlet Ballroom, where the rumoured Void Scent Lord waits to make our acquaintance. We find Ferdiad, an apparent court jester of the Void Scent, awaiting us with scythe in hand. During the fight, the Void Scent uses its Jungler's Cross to constantly damage the tanking party member, as well as its Blackout to damage the party. When injured, Ferdiad teleports to the centre of the room, becoming invulnerable and calling forth 3 wicked jesters. These jesters must be destroyed to prevent the growing area of Wildcard from reaching the edge of the arena and becoming unavoidable. After this, Ferdiad will, at random, trap a party member in slime, and attempt to cast Jester's Reap upon them, but the remaining members can assist in freeing the trapped member. Additionally, the Void Scent uses his ethereal spears and scythes to cleave large parts of the arena, with spears flying across the room and scythes spinning in a circle. Upon defeat, the Void Scent lets out a laughing scream and vanishes, freeing the keep from the Void Scent grasp after several centuries. As we leave, however, an unsettling laugh rings out from the depths of the place once more. After this, we return to Brother Adistan, who thanks us for felling the Void Scent Lord, but moves to question that, if the Lambs of Dalamud were unsuccessful in their previous attempts to summon the Void, who could have finished the preparations in this case? Adistan asks if we had seen anyone else, and when we inform him that no one other than monsters were inside the keep, he asks of the remains of the Lambs, of which again they were unseen. Adistan surmises that the Lambs in fact had their preparations completed, but at the time were lacking a blood sacrifice, and ironically in their own defeat did the ritual become sated to call forth the Void Scent. However, the matter of the Void Scent Lord appears worrying to Adistan, as it appeared to have much more intelligence and cunning than that of the average of its kind. The listener even infers that the Void Scent could have goaded the Lambs into summoning it forth, noting that if so, dark days lie ahead for us all. He then thanks us again, and bids us rest before our next excursion. And that's the end, not only of the lore of the hard mode version of Amdapor Keep, but of the dungeons within Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. A final purging of the Void Scent threat and handling the mess of the Lambs of Dalamud, before the Warrior of Light and adventurers everywhere prepare their new journey to Ishgard, with the betrayal of Ilberd fresh in their minds, and as they fled the chambers of Uldar, they can but turn their eyes heavensward. I hope you enjoyed this video, and the series overall so far. It's been about a year since I started, and I'm glad that you seem to be enjoying what I've made so far. I hope I can continue to bring more informative videos about dungeons for you all, and if you have any suggestions or ideas for videos outside of dungeons, let me know in the comments and I'll look into them. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy XIV lore, and I'll see you next time for our first foray into Heavensward with the Dusk Vigil.